Hello, everyone. Welcome to another virtual screening for Film Building. I'm Haley Howe, Director of Media Arts Education at MATV UMA. One of the things that I do here is to work with our instructors to create awesome educational workshop for both youth and adults. The slideshow that you just saw was pictures from our most recent film building workshop. It was a 2-day class for adults, which happened this past weekend. And tonight, we're going to see the 2 short films that they created during the workshop. I'm so excited. But let me first give you a little history about our film building workshop. Because of the pandemic, our educational program transitioned to virtual workshops in the spring. We launched the pilot program Film Building, which was an international workshop that brought together kids from Malden, China, and Chile. Together, they created 3 films exploring the theme, what is the opposite of distance? That was truly a groundbreaking program that had young people crossing boundaries of time and distance, making meaningful connections. We then replicated this virtual program with 15 local students from Mayor's Youth Summer Employment Program, where they created 3 films about essential workers. Then we thought, why don't we offer film building to adults? And here we are. Thank you all for coming to support our filmmakers, and I'm so excited to see what they have created for us. I first want to thank Malden Reads for their financial support, which made this adult pilot program possible. Let's first hear from Ann Dorson-Rose, co-facilitator of Malden Reads and Associate Director of MATV UMA. Hi, Ann.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here tonight and excited to hear about the experience of the participants in film building and to see their films. Malden Reads is a community reading program that works to promote literacy and a love of reading and to build community in the city of Malden. And we're about to begin our 11th year of the program. You can check out more about us at maldenreads.org. The program is carried out by a dynamic group of volunteers in collaboration with MATV UMA and the Malden Public Library. We're very pleased to sponsor this first adult version of the Film Building Workshop. The Film Building Initiative at MATV UMA is at its heart all about storytelling and community building. So it perfectly ties in with the mission of Malden Reads. The 2020 Malden Reads book selection is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Many of you may have read it or are familiar with it, and maybe you took part in some of our programming in early 2020, which got interrupted, like so many other things, by the pandemic. So when the film building participants met for the first time just last Friday evening, I did a little presentation about the book. Bradbury's classic dystopic novel about a future society in which books are banned, creative thinking and ideas are discouraged, and people are disconnected from each other, from themselves, from their history, and from the environment which they are slowly destroying. Instead, their lives are consumed and distracted by media that is intrusive, meaningless, and heavily commercialized. The protagonist in the book, Guy Montag, who is a fireman that burns books, becomes awakened to what is happening, and he begins to take action and try to do something about it. In the process, he finds his own vitality, he finds connection, he finds friendship and meaning. It can be said that we are living in dystopic times. There is political unrest, social upheaval, environmental disasters, and a pandemic that is affecting all of our lives. With all of that, it is easy to lose hope, to feel depressed, and to feel like we have no control. To that end, we came up with a theme of this workshop for the participants to explore through film, and that is, what is the antidote to despair? So, like all of you, I look forward to seeing what the film building participants came up with and what they learned and explored in the process. So, I'll kick it back to Haley.
Thank you, Anne. We are grateful for the generous support from Malden Reads. Next, let's meet Amanda Hurley, who is the intern at MATV UMA. Amanda played so many different roles during this workshop. She was the teaching assistant, production assistant, and social media manager. And tonight, Amanda is going to host this screening for us. So please say hi and take it away, Amanda.
Thank you, Haley. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the screening for the Adult Film Building Workshop. What is the antidote to despair? We did a weekend-long workshop from October 23rd to October 25th, virtually, so none of us actually got to meet in the same room. And both groups came up with something under the umbrella of what is the antidote to despair. So for tonight, I'm going to ask all of you, please turn on your cameras so we can see your beautiful shining faces and your little fancy hair and whatever going on. At any point you have a question, you can raise your hand either for real or you can use the little reaction button to raise your hand, or you can actually type a question into the chat box. That's a great way to ask a question without worrying about interrupting the flow, and we will get back to you. So I'm really excited for this evening tonight. I want to introduce you to our team here. First of all, we have with us Tom Flint, who is the creator and the head facilitator for the Film Building Workshop. Tom, if you don't mind, could you just quickly introduce yourself for our guests?
Sure. Thanks, Amanda. First of all, it's so great to welcome everyone here tonight. Looks like we have a really good turnout, and it's great to see all the participants again after this last weekend. So yes, my name is Tom Flint, and I'm the creator of Film Building, or one of the creators. And yeah, we've worked on several workshops together. I have with MATV, and this last one, as Amanda mentioned, was the first one involving adults. And it went extraordinarily well. And yeah, I'm excited to have the participants show their films and talk about them afterwards.
Thank you, Tom. And next up, we have Maceo Dobson, who is our mentor coordinator. Maceo, I just saw you. Can you say hello to everybody, please?
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming. Yes, it's been my pleasure working with the whole team, but definitely the mentors, as well as Amanda Hurley, who has worked as the TA. They have put a lot of work in. They have been so open-minded to the process, and I am just as excited as everyone else is to get to see the final product. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Maceo. And I would also like to welcome our mentors. First of all, we have Camilla Rodriguez. She was the mentor for Group A, who you will meet tonight. So she worked with them on their project. Camilla, are you here? Could you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. I'm Camilla Rodriguez. I got to mentor Group A. I'm an intern at MATV UMA. And I had a great time mentoring our group, and I can't wait for you to see our film.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Camilla. And lastly, last but not least, we have our mentor for Group B, Anthony Tufo. Anthony, could you just say hello and introduce yourself to the group?
Hello, Anthony. I work with Group B. I've been a volunteer probably since last year for MATV. This is my first time mentoring. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody's finished product.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony. Yes, but before we begin, I'd just like to say hello to the participants. And I'm curious about what your experience has been versus in the very beginning of the workshop, you told us what you were hoping to get out of this workshop. And does anyone remember what they were hoping to get out of the workshop, and how does that compare with the experience that you did have, which I'm sure had some surprises in store? And mentors as well, you can speak on this if you'd like. Actually, it's hard to see who's raising their hand because I have to go through. So if anyone else sees a hand, let me know.
Yeah, I see Jeff's hand
Jeff
up.
has a hand up.
Oh, thank you. Jeff, go right ahead. would you like to tell us about what your experience has been?
It was an excellent experience. I really enjoyed myself. I remember going in, I was looking for some collaborative art. I've really been craving collaborative art experience. Not really being able to meet up with anybody. It's hard to get, but this really did that for me, and it definitely came through on a collaborative art experience. I feel like our video, it really came together as a true collaboration, and I'm really super happy with it.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I agree. It's so hard. It's so hard to find a truly collaborative experience where you feel like you're really connecting during these times. Yeah.
Camilla was a really great support person for our group, a great mentor person, and really let the group take the lead. And I think it was, I really enjoyed the experience. Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for sharing. Anybody else or mentors or participants would like to say a word? Looking. I see Parto. Parto, go ahead.
I wanted to say that the creating the film was actually the hardest part, because you have an idea and then you have to put it together and put into consideration all the bits and pieces of making it something beautiful. And I think it taught me that it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. Yeah. And we had a very good team. We had great mentors, and it just was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Parto. Yes, I remember our group, we had disagreements, but we reveled in our disagreements because I think we learned from each other. And, everybody's a perfectionist about different aspects. Awesome. Anybody else want to say anything, or shall I?
I mean, I have my hand up.
Oh, sorry. It's really hard to, wait, was that Bernadette?
Yeah, I did have my hand up, but you saw Pasha first before me.
Sorry. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Everything happens for a reason. And you guys got me to even forget the question you asked. So can you please remind me so I don't answer the wrong thing?
You remember I'm so sorry. Honestly, I'm like flipping through and you were right next to me and I didn't see your hand because I was flipping through to look at all the other people. Like, whose hand is up? The question was at the beginning of the workshop, we asked you, what are you hoping to get out of this experience? And I'm wondering if you remember what you said, how the actual experience measured up with what your hopes and expectations were.
Oh, okay, good. Yes, because what I was actually hoping to gain out of this experience was to really see, pretty much try to discover where everybody was, like these participants that I was working with, to see where they were during these times that we're in, and to even see if I could be there could be some kind of connection and everything. But then what I gained out of this experience was completely the opposite. It seemed like people were just giving me answers I had not even expected. Pretty much me even wondering, how is this really the solution? And I'm this is why everyone is definitely different. And that's why it really got me to see how situations like these could really get people to think completely different from others and get them to see things the same, in different ways versus the way you probably would expect people to see the things, how you're seeing these situations. You would probably expect someone to see it the same way, but it's not even close to where you are. And I'm wow, it's so different how we think. So this is interesting.
That is so true. It's wow, I never thought of it that way. The way that, people's minds work so differently. Especially in these groups. I don't know about your group, but my group was wow, I love how their minds work. I've never heard of this outlook before. Never experienced this personality. Haley, yes.
Yeah, so basically our goal is to get a very diverse group of people to work together, to meet people who you may not even have access to or usually work with. So that's definitely one of the goals. And later, we definitely should have Tom explain his philosophy behind this workshop. You know, one of the goals of this curriculum is to get people to open their eyes, to work together with people who are from a totally different background. So that's definitely one of the most important essence of this workshop. You will hear from Tom explaining that. When I was speaking, I saw a hand up. Cece, did you have your hand up, Cecilia?
To me, what was very powerful was the ability to work with individuals from various backgrounds and community and languages, and to see how we're all dealing with this pandemic. To achieve the goal of answering the question that Tom posed, the objective, which was just very stressful, but it was fun. It was fun. You know, it was really, really nice. And it really plays into the field that I'm in, which as an educator working with bilingual students, it's nice to see that we could use a different, or I could use in the future, a different platform to get my students to collaborate from different parts of the world. So that's great.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Cecilia. Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. We ended up talking a lot about our grandparents, our ancestors, our legacy, and like we just had, everyone had stories of like there's some ancestor coming to America and starting fresh and finding success and making a family. And I think that's so wonderful to hear. Was anybody else raising a hand? I don't think I saw anyone. Let me just look real quick. If not, do you think it's a good time we could move over to Tom and learn a little bit more about the film building process, which was new to me as well and very exciting. So yeah, Tom, unless anyone else has something to say, Tom Flint, go right ahead. Tell us a little bit more about the program. Thanks, Tom.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Amanda. So yes, here we are. And let me just start by saying that I feel terribly underdressed this evening because I'm seeing some nice get-ups here. I see Parto in her sunglasses. I see Haley in her hat. And of course, Jeff with his very cool hat as well. So yeah, I will just talk very briefly about the filmmaking experience, what it is, why it exists, and what's really unique about it. So this is a program that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and most recently in partnership with UMA, who's been really, really supportive and helping us try and expand the program. But let me quickly bring up a PowerPoint here just to help me kind of walk you guys through it. So give me a second. Here we are. So this is just the front page to the Film Building website. And essentially what it is, it's a program that leverages the very unique collaborative and co-creative aspects of filmmaking. And when I was a student in school, I studied film in both high school and university. A lot of the emphasis was put on technique and trying to make a good film, by watching a lot of films that were showing in theaters and being very analytical about the approach to making films. And I learned a lot through that experience, of course, but I started to reflect a lot on the way that films can be put together. And I started to think more about the collaborative aspect and how unique an opportunity it is to actually be either on a film set or, in this case, communicating with people virtually, putting an actual project together piece by piece. And so one of the things we do in film building is we take a kind of discovery-based approach where, unlike what you see on the right here, where the process is divided up into pre-production, production, and post-production, which is development, filming, and editing, unlike doing it in such a way where a lot of the decisions are made before filming even begins, and the project is based on, essentially trying to execute what has already been decided by the filmmakers, we look at what's on the left here, and it's a very discovery-based approach where we don't know exactly what kind of film we're trying to make, however strange that sounds. And one thing we do is we work from a concept rather than from a script. So in this case, as has been mentioned, we worked from the question, what is the antidote to despair? And that's something that invites all different kinds of interpretations, depending on your own personal experiences, depending on where you're from, your values, your cultures, whatever it may be. And it allows the participants, whether they're adults or high school students or elementary school students, to just kind of come together and go through this continuous problem-solving exercise where they're trying to tell a story and put a film together without any kind of real structure. So this is a slide that was actually floated around in the slideshow at the beginning, but this is basically what the experience looks like. And at the top here, you see these different light bulbs, which represent the minds that are actually coming together to make a project. And as you can see below that, the process is where everyone is just kind of exchanging ideas and talking about their life experiences and unpacking these themes in very kind of collaborative ways. And then below that is the product itself. It's the finished film, which is inherently representative of the people who have created it. And one of the most magical things about filmmaking and art making, which is so often overlooked within the context of education, is the experience of viewing it and interpreting it. And I think oftentimes when we expose ourselves to films or to a painting or to a sculpture, really any kind of art, we often try and figure out what the artist or the author was trying to say. We try and find some kind of inherent or embedded meaning within the piece, almost like trying to solve it like a puzzle. But I think one of the magical things about cinema is that, you know, it's a combination of so many different ideas where you can't really tell one idea apart from another. And, you know, when you're watching a film, it's completely open to interpretation. So it doesn't need to have any kind of meaning embedded within it. The meaning lies within what the viewer interprets it as. So I think that allows for all kinds of really interesting discussions. And that's some of the things we're going to be doing today, is talking about how these films that we're going to watch relate to the theme that we chose. What's the antidote to despair? And asking both the filmmakers and you know, the other participants and the mentors and you, the audience, what you found in the film, what you discovered in the films, and why you think they're unique, maybe based on your own experiences. So that's really something that we try to do with the film building approach, is to just kind of open it up and make these important discoveries. So yeah, I will pass it back on to you, Amanda.
Great. I was just going to ask, do you have the title? I might need help with the title for the group A, because I actually did not learn of what they're...
Yes. So we're starting with Group A's film, I guess. And I believe Group A's film is The Urge of Now.
Oh, okay. Well, now we know. Great. Okay, so are we showing Group A's film first? All right, so sure. Group A has taken the antidote to despair and they've discussed it and they've come up with their own idea, and it is the age of now. Well, I just forgot.
The Urge of Now.
The Urge of Now, not the age of now. So the film title that they have come up with is The Urge of Now. So
excellent. And actually, right before we screen it, I do want to ask the participants of this group, and their names, by the way, are Jeff, Mary, Bernadette, and Cecilia, and Imani, and their mentor was Camilla. To your group, is there anything you'd like to say before the film is screened? We are going to talk about it afterwards, of course, but anything you want to say to introduce it?
Enjoy the show.
Excellent. Wonderful.
I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world.
So as you can see, we have a lot of talent in that group, a lot of different kinds of artists. Wonderful. And I meant to say that group was Jeff Taylor, Mary Delba, Bernadette Mutebi, and let's see who else, Cecilia Nunez, and Imani McKisson, who did the editing. And I believe was that Jeff was doing the poetry, and who was singing?
Bernadette.
Bernadette, oh, that was lovely. I heard that you guys were doing something with singing and poetry overlapping, and I could not imagine it. And it's just seeing it, it's amazing. So that was our group A. So thank you so much, everybody. And they were mentored by Camilla Rodriguez. So thank you for all of your great work, everybody.
Yes, having just watched that, it's I think a 2.5 or 2 minute 40-second film, and there's a lot packed in there. I just want to open it up to the audience right away and ask you guys, what did you discover in this? Thinking about the theme, what's the antidote to despair? What did you discover in this film that you might not have expected?
I think the aspect of the finiteness of our times. We have a limit to what we can do. Let's get busy. Let's do it. Express yourself. And I thought that was pretty clear for me.
Wonderful. Thank you for that comment. Can you perhaps point out something that you saw in the film that gave you that impression or that reminded you of that? Were there any images?
I think the opening at the graveyard made me immediately recognize we're talking about finite. We have a beginning, we have an end. And so the graveyard captured that. And I think they referred back to it a second time.
Yeah.
And the artists expressing themselves, using today to express that which is in you, get it out. And that is certainly an antidote for despair.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, there was that really lovely kind of tracking shot in the graveyard where you see the path and you see it kind of winding around to the right. I think that's a great metaphor for so many different things, and what a beautiful way to open up the film. Great. More comments, please. What did you discover in this film?
Well, I thought Bernadette had a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you so much.
A talent right there. So I really enjoyed that. And I do think the film shows that you have to live now, regardless of what's going on. You still have to live your best life. So I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Octavia. Yeah, Bernadette. So we actually, I don't think we got to mention about the very strict schedule that we had over this 2-day period, but we had an orientation Friday night. We had a Zoom meeting Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, trying to squeeze everything together. And Bernadette, I think you weren't able to make it to Sunday morning's Zoom session because you were
the
at Mass.
mornings.
Yeah. So tell us about how you wove what you did on Sunday morning into the film.
Wait, like, what do you mean wove?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you had to go to mass and you had told your group before, hey, I'm going to mass tomorrow. So what if I bring my camera there and what if I record myself singing?
I
I'm putting
mean,
you on the spot here.
no, because I just want to make sure I understand like what you mean when you, because I'm like thinking you mean, I know I could not make it, but like, how did it's like, what was your experience like? How did you use your experience to bring it into the group? I'm not sure if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, you know how like one of the, I don't know, but she was the audience who pretty much said you need to use whatever, put yourself out there or something like that. It's like knowing that we're all in these times and everything, let me just use whatever I can to pretty much like not let anything or fear stop me from continuing anyway to just do what I usually do. Because if you think about, because the way I thought about it was like if these are the times that we're in, and this me even going to church is like one of the examples that I can pretty much put out there to show that this is like the church that used to be like, me just going whenever I wanted without like a face mask or anything before this pandemic happened was not like was completely different. But now that I'm here, I'm not going to let the COVID stop me, because I need to remember that like the dark times that we're in, all these things are going to happen, but we have to do the best that we can to just control what we can control instead of like trying to control what we can't. Because no one could control the COVID coming this way, but I'm like, if I know I can control myself going to church and singing, continuing to pray to God, then come back and do whatever I can, then let me do this best, because eventually everything will come to an end.
That was not the answer I was expecting, but that was really powerful. Now I want to see the film again, having heard you say that. I want to listen to your voice again over those images with that in mind.
I feel like I want to see the film again too. It's like it went by so quick, but it was really mesmerizing, and I loved hearing. I had no idea that was Bernadette's voice. I thought it was a professional. Well, not to say you're not a professional, but Bernadette, but I thought it was a professional recording, and then I loved Jeff's poem over it. But I've already forgotten the words. I know they were really powerful, but about it being now is perfect, or it was saying there's this. I wish I could remember what it was that it said.
The urge of now.
Yeah, but it was the perfect.
Can I interject,
moment.
Ann?
Yeah.
That's Walt. I used a portion of Walt Whitman's poem. It's an excerpt from Song of Myself. So you can definitely go and read that poem online very easily. It's a very accessible online. So
right.
If you wanted to go back to it, you could. It's a great.
But it was saying that this moment is perfect, right? It was saying that this.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's never going to be more perfection than right now. Yeah. I think Octavia says, "Live your best life." That's exactly what I was thinking. And express yourself. At least when I was taking my shots and when I picked out that part of the poem.
Yeah, no, I love that you picked that, because it's not what you would expect, and yet it really fits it fits the moment. So yeah, it's wonderful.
I love how the filmmakers were aggressive with their message. They're like right in your face, telling you, do it now. This is the time. I actually like that. It made me wake up. I think it takes guts to be that aggressive. I liked it. And I want to ask you guys, did you guys think of Halloween? Like when you were picking shots and the theme, the graveyard, all that, was that intentional?
Well, one of the things we started talking about was change and metamorphosis, and I started thinking about masks, and like when we were thinking about COVID and just like how different meanings of masks, so that, and then I have it. I set up my yard. I love Halloween, so I like set up my yard like Halloween. So I had that as a place I could shoot. So with those things coming together, that worked out. Yeah. But yeah, it was change in masks that got me moving towards Halloween. And then I know Mary was saying she was going to go to the graveyard and shoot. So and I was like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I have a graveyard in my front yard, kind of, you know.
Yeah, there's such an eclectic range of footage and locations in this. And I think what we saw tonight may have been different from what I saw on Sunday. I did get a sneak preview, but it just evolved so beautifully. I actually want to flip it over to Group B, and we're not going to show your film quite yet, but I want to ask you guys went through the same exercise, same time period, different members, same theme. What was your impression of this?
For me, I felt the heaviness of it. I don't know, was it the music that I fell in love with, Bernadette? It was absolutely gorgeous. It just touched me so much. But I don't know, it just felt like things are going to come to an end. And I don't know what I learned from that. It's just, there was very heavy for me. So I don't know, maybe it was because it was a cemetery, or the fact that you have to do something about now. And yes, it is true. Today is the only thing we have a control over. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow we have absolutely no idea. Today is truly our only time we have a control over it. But yet, when I think about, oh my God, I got to do something today or else, that brings a pressure to me. And I feel like maybe it should be just try to do your best. That's all.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess I have just one quick question. I know we're running out of time pretty quickly. I have one quick question for the filmmakers here. And by the way, can I get all the filmmakers for this group to raise their hands? Imani, could you put your camera on, please?
Yes, Imani's here. Hello, Imani.
Yeah. Okay. Cece's got her hand up. Wonderful. Just so we can all acknowledge who took part in this: Jeff, Bernadette, and Mary. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. To you all, can you talk a little bit, very briefly, about your story building process? How did you put this together? Maybe somebody who hasn't spoken yet, Mary or Imani. Yeah, Mary.
So I think we took the idea and said, what words really kind of mean, the antidote to despair, and it was transformation and joy and change. And so when we started talking about that, that's where we came up with the ideas of what do we want to film that are going to say that. And for, I can speak for me, it was like, I want to look at things that are colorful and can kind of bring you out of a mood. And I know this might sound weird, but cemeteries actually do that for me, because they can be very colorful and historic and, connecting us to the here and now for me. And then just art. So that was where a lot of my shots came from. And then, I know everybody kind of had their ideas of what brought them joy, and we just kind of brought that together.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. And in case you guys haven't figured it out, the process they took was to, for each of the group members to discuss how they were going to put their film together, to go out individually because they couldn't meet each other face to face, to go out individually, shoot the footage based on what they had talked about, upload it to an online editing platform, and cut it into a story together. Again, without a script or without any kind of structure from the beginning. So I just love how your film came together. And I imagine that it all surprised you when it was finally assembled and you thought, wow, this is what our film is. Which is very different, of course, from working from a script and a clear idea from the beginning. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Workshop is a great example of just like really taking life by the horns. And we're making a film rather than sit around and wait. And I think that's such a cool thing. So thank you so much. That was a beautiful film. And thank you for Camilla for mentoring. So the next film is very different, but has some similar themes. This group we have Parto Rashidi. I hope I'm getting the last names right because I forgot.
Close enough.
Bori Yang. We had Jonathan Guzman and Maria Gracia Aversa. And I popped in as well, as did Tom. And this one was A Life Well Lived, I believe. Did I have that right, you guys? Yes, A Life Well Lived. Our group, we had, you guys can talk more about the process later, but we did a lot of talking, a lot of deep conversations, and it's cool to see what we arrived at just from that. So yes, so let's see this film.
Great. And sorry, did you mention Anthony's name?
Anthony, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Anthony was joined us as a mentor for the first time, and he did a remarkable job. Anthony is a filmmaker himself. And Anthony, you were telling me at the beginning, this is a very kind of different approach to how, as I mentioned before, how I had made my films.
Yeah.
And you make your films. So
it's completely different, especially when you have no script, you have no plan. But what they came up with in the short period of time, I'm very proud of what they created.
Wonderful. And I'm going to maybe pick on you after the film is screened.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So
I already said his name. So that's, you know what? We're doing okay. Thanks. All
no
right.
worries. So, yep, I have the film up, so I will screen it again.
Our eyes are the window to the world. And through this lens, I'm trying to have a door to the past. Looking at the old pictures, they just remind me of how these individuals, including me, had a life of our own. These are some people and all the impact they had on my life.
Okay, go ahead.
One.
It's running. I think so. Go.
Okay, this is my video tonight.
Okay, then hold one up and I'll cut it. Hold one up. Turn around and smile.
Great.
Wow.
So, wonderful. I'm going to actually start with the filmmakers here. And one of the magical things about films is no matter how many times you see the same film, it's always a different experience based on where you see it, who you see it with, your mood when you see it. So to the filmmakers, what did you discover in your own film this viewing? What did you see that was a little bit different? I noticed several new things. This is my, I think, third time seeing it. Marco.
Sorry, I saw it so many times to make it work when we were putting them together that I don't know anymore.
Right. That's the flip side of this is if you're editing your own film, you see it a million times, you're like, oh God, I don't want to see this anymore. Certainly the case with my own work. Can I mention something very quickly? Unless Maria Gracia, yes.
I am very emotional now. Okay, I see it again. It's a beautiful experience. You deep in the soul of in the spirit of for everyone. I don't know. It's different. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
To me, there's something so genuine about the relationship between Maria Grazia and her partner in the film. And I mentioned this before to the group. The fact that you can hear her partner's voice is something that in most cases would be snipped out in the editing room. It's too much of a distraction or it's off screen. But there's just something so honest about your group's decision to leave that in there. And the smile on your face through all of those scenes when you're out in the garden and in the kitchen is just so lovely. I also, a couple of other things, the image of the basketball backboard without the hoop is really interesting. I had seen that before, but it didn't really hit me the same way that it did in this scene. So that was shot by Bodi, that scene. And then even the little speckles of dirt on the window of Jonathan's scene when he puts the camera out the window and captures that great kind of aerial shot of downtown Boston. There were these little speckles in the foreground that looked like glitter almost. And I thought they were just kind of interesting and mystical. But to the audience, impressions, what did you guys discover in this film?
Can I go? I was making notes.
Let's hear them.
I'm like, okay, 5 stars. Yeah, I loved it because to me, it was uplifting, pure, honest, despite everything that's happening, you feel inspired, and like you were saying with the her partner's voice in the background, it just made it so genuine, so I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad they didn't take that part out. So yeah, I loved it. It was too short.
Yeah.
Down
a little bit so we can savor it.
Yeah, I feel like that about both films. I just want to see more or watch it again.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Octavia. Anybody else?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, Osa.
Oh, yeah. Oh gosh, I felt like it was a burst of intimate joy. Just like, seeing those pictures of Pardo's family and then the delightful, peppers and it really made me emotional, actually. I feel I know them, the filmmakers, through this.
I was going to say, and Anthony, I'm curious your thoughts as well, but I thought it was interesting that we didn't really start making the film until much later. Really
yeah.
Anthony, what were your thoughts?
There was a lot of back and forth before we started editing on where we were going to put the pieces, whether we were going to put pitches. Originally, we were going to do relatives in the beginning, grandparents. Unfortunately, some people couldn't get pitches. But like I said earlier, I think they did a really good job. I think everything came out perfectly.
Wonderful.
I was sorry.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
I mean, what I just really wanted to say is that what got me to think of this film, because the first thing I paid attention to was their title, like A Life Well Lived, and then trying to see, okay, what are they going to mean by this? What to them means a life well lived? and having them seen, like, I think it was like Parj. I can't even pronounce her name, but she was the one like
Parto, Parto.
Okay, yeah, Parto.
I'll take it.
Okay, sorry, Parto. Like obviously continuing to just like um go like some get some like vegetables and things from her garden. I felt like she was telling me, well, going shopping may not be safe or anything, but I'm still living a well life by growing my food from the garden and making sure it's all safe. And then you see, continuing to go inside the kitchen, then doing what I usually do, because before the pandemic, I would go really shopping, did not need to worry about my garden. Now I'm still continuing to, accept the new life that I'm in and making sure that I still live a good life. And obviously seeing how things continue to go and the things that they were doing, it's like, to me, they were telling me they've just learned to accept everything that we're in and continuing to do what they usually do. Like, because as soon as I saw NBA basketball, I even thought of my brothers. I'm like, yeah, they do this all the time. So it's like I was pretty much seeing a well life just means continuing to do what you are doing in a safe and comfortable way that is good for you.
Bernadette gets it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, we had a lot of discussions about what does it mean to like live a full life. So that was a huge part of it. That was Maria Gracia's garden. So yeah, if you have anything you want to say about that, feel free.
Yes, my garden, and now okay, a lot of things vegetable gone, but the tomatoes, the pepperoni is there. It's beautiful. That's why yes, and me enjoy in my garden vegetable and garden flower. It's beautiful. Yes, it's real. So enjoy everybody.
Thank you. I know we've just eclipsed the 8 o'clock time limit, but I did want to ask this group just one quick kind of behind the scenes question. Tell us about the culture that your group formed. Because one of the unique things about doing this approach is that, as you can all see, the films turned out very differently, but the groups also do as well. Because it is about building a culture within your group right from the beginning and building that sense of kind of mutual trust and respect. But how would you answer that question? Tell us about the culture that your group formed.
Oh, I'm sure we have a lot to say on that. I'm looking at who would like to speak.
I can say that we had there were generational differences. They were different age group.
Yeah.
Beside the ethnic background, but yet when we started, I don't know, for whatever reason, it was the magic of movies or filmmaking or the intimacy. It just happened. And we felt like, at least on my side, I felt like I knew these guys all my life and I was comfortable. Like, it was an environment of a trust and respect. And it was given. We all had that for one another. And that was incredible because we never saw each other before. It was the first time we met. And so beside Haley, that's the only person I knew from this group and nobody else I did. And it was amazing because we all did feel respectful, close, and intimate. And that was magical for me.
It's true. And
I agree. I think I went into this not knowing who I was going to work with. Usually when I film something, I'm usually with the same group, but this time around it was different. It's funny because we learned so much about each other in a short period of time than I thought we were going to. It was a really, really remarkable group.
And I guess a reminder of how much we need to pay attention to the process, not only in terms of filmmaking, of course, but in everything we do. Yeah.
I think, as somebody said, and I'm repeating what they say, the joy is in the journey, not the destination.
Yes.
Exactly. What about Group A? Do you agree with that? With those sentiments? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
Because I'm like, when will you know your destination unless you go into like, your pretty much journey. In order for you to know your destination, you have to go through the journey until you reach your destination.
Exactly.
So that's like why it's not like you can't, because if you're always just too focused on your destination, then your journey is going to be messed up, because you're not even going to be paying attention to what you're doing. You're just going to be more focused on getting there. And then the next journey comes up, and again, you're focusing on when you're going to get to your destination. It doesn't work like that.
I think Bernadette Maria Gracia said something similar. I think she said it's not even about the destination. The journey is the joy. Just like having a dream and going after that dream is the joy. It's like, who knows if we'll get our dreams?
Yes, it's a
right?
truth.
Yeah.
Never finish the dreams. You have enough dreams soon.
Right. If you accomplish all your dreams, you're done.
So, yeah, Haley, these films are going to be uploaded onto the Filmbuilding website, but they'll also be available on social media on UMA's site. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're too good to not to show. And yeah, we definitely want more people to see them. And we are going to have more film building workshops coming up in the future. So if you are interested, and we have both for adults and youth. So if you're interested or youth in your circle who might be interested, send them our way. And also to remind everyone, there are so many great comments in the chat. So that's additional feedback from the audience.
Yeah, they're seeing a lot of comments. Everybody likes the basketball scene.
That was so creative. I mean, in such a short period of time, using different art forms, that was stop animation, which I totally did not expect to see, because that does require time and skills to do. So I was amazed by that.
Okay, so I guess that wraps it up for this evening. I want to thank everybody for signing in and viewing the films. Obviously, the participants and the mentors for making this experience turn out so beautifully. Everyone who worked behind the scenes, Amanda, Haley, Maceo, everyone else involved. I think this was a huge step forward for this whole initiative. And one thing that we didn't mention at the beginning was this workshop that we just finished was born out of a grant that we applied for called the Our Town Grant, which is a huge NEA grant. And we put together an application that would involve us basically organizing a giant workshop in the city of Malden with Malden residents, making films and telling stories about their own lives as residents. So we are hoping to hear a positive result. Next April is when we hear. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. And if that's the case, then this is going to explode in Malden. So please, stay tuned for that.
Wonderful job, everyone. And I saw Osa just said, both films gave the now a bit of eternity and joy. I think that's a great way of putting it. So thank you for the eternity and joy in this moment in time.
And thank you, Malden Reads, again for your support for this pilot program. We're hoping to do more. Thank you guys so much for coming. Good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Job well done.